You're complaining about your hard life and you're so privileged. It's just so weird.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Well, they insist that you go along with their nonsense and their insanity and their fragility.
His heart is even more beautiful.
Oh, but his heart is even more beautiful. This is so forced.
I know that I'm a great friend, and I know the kind of mom I am.
I'm searching for something to like about her, and it's so hard.
They're ridiculous.
Also a fox. If you haven't noticed, my husband's very, very handsome.
The beginning of that clip where she's like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
It's so inauthentic.
She is a malignant narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while she simultaneously plays the victim.
I knew her a bit. She was nothing like that. She didn't speak like that. Her mannerisms weren't like that. This is all fake.
And it's unacceptable. And it's just got to stop.
H.
Why do you call him H? It's so dumb sounding.
She's trying to sell herself as this wholesome mother who's baking cookies and making tea, but we all know that that's not the truth.
Bill Maher certainly didn't mince words when it came to Meghan Markle's recent guest spot on Jamie Kern Lima's podcast. And let me tell you, it was a dazzling smackdown that has sent shockwaves through the internet. This single appearance has sparked a whirlwind of backlash, with opinions flying in from every corner. Maher wasted no time getting to the heart of the matter, highlighting the irony of her grievances while basking in a life of extraordinary privilege. It's a takedown that's got everyone buzzing.
Complaining about your hard life and you're so privileged. It's just so weird.
It's ridiculous. I totally agree.
That sentiment is exactly why so many are enthusiastically rallying behind Bill. He's clearly fed up with the relentless narrative of hardship when, for most viewers, the reality couldn't be more different. Maher didn't stop there. He doubled down, declaring that he won't play along with what he perceives as their insistence that everyone must embrace their version of reality, no matter how delicate or downright absurd it may appear. It's a bold stance that's resonating with many.
That's what's so annoying about them. The most of all, they insist that you go along with their nonsense and their insanity and their fragility.
Beyond Maher's sharp critiques, the podcast itself is being labeled as downright cringeworthy. It was meant to offer a raw, authentic glimpse into Meghan's life, but a whole lot of folks aren't buying that for a second. Many viewers felt the performance was off, almost like watching someone trying way too hard to sell you a story. Take that opening clip where she exclaims, "Oh my God, oh my gosh." It just screamed inauthentic.
Beginning of that clip where she's like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
It's so inauthentic.
For many, this podcast wasn't just a minor blunder, it was classic Meghan, reigniting the same old debates. So, what went so horribly wrong this time to spark such a backlash? Let's dive into the authenticity angle, because that's where things really started to unravel. One of the first red flags was Meghan's claim of appearing on the podcast completely raw and makeup-free. But critics quickly tore that narrative apart. They pointed out that she looked just a tad too polished for someone who was supposedly caught off guard.
She had the hair blown out. It was perfect. I do not believe that she was makeup-free there. She didn't have eye makeup on, which is a different thing.
So, that no makeup moment didn't exactly hit the mark for a lot of viewers. Then came the tears. Or, more accurately, the conspicuous absence of them, which turned into a major talking point. While she seemed to be on the verge of an emotional breakthrough, sharp-eyed viewers and commentators quickly picked up on something crucial that was missing when they took a closer look. It was as if the emotional weight just didn't quite add up.
Pretending that she's crying, we zoomed in just to see. There isn't a tear in sight. Look at this.
The notion of crocodile tears began to circulate, especially considering her background as an actress. After all, it's a well-known talent for performers to conjure up emotions on cue, right? This only fueled the skepticism surrounding whether her display was genuinely heartfelt, or just a meticulously rehearsed performance. The lines between authenticity and acting started to blur, leaving many viewers questioning the sincerity of her emotional moment.
She says one tap left eye, and she can make herself cry on demand.
It's crazy. We're like, Meghan, one tear, left eye, go. Give me 3.
It wasn't just the absence of tears that raised eyebrows. Body language experts chimed in too. They pointed out that her facial expressions and overall demeanor during these so-called emotional moments came off as forced and utterly contrived. It was as if the authenticity everyone craved was nowhere to be found, leaving many to wonder if they were witnessing a genuine moment or just a carefully crafted performance.
So many of them call you M and Harry H.
Yes.
How did that start?
Probably at the beginning of us dating.
This is fake. She knows exactly when that happened. The eye search she's got going on there, that's forced and faked, as is the facial expression.
This entire performance felt like a stark departure from the Meghan some remember from her pre-royalty days. days. Those who knew her, or at least followed her during her acting career, paint a vastly different picture of who she was. It's as if the essence of the woman they once admired has been overshadowed by the royal persona, leaving many to question what's real and what's just part of the show.
I knew her a bit. She was nothing like that. She didn't speak like that. Her mannerisms weren't like that. This is all fake.
That stark contrast has led many to conclude that this current soft and vulnerable persona is nothing but a carefully constructed facade. To some, it feels like she's merely playing a role rather than revealing her true self, a far cry from the ambitious woman they once admired. This perceived transformation only fuels the belief that what we're witnessing now is a meticulously crafted image, designed to fit a narrative rather than an authentic glimpse into her life.
She was a real hard-nosed LA girl. Now she's like this, oh, I'm soft, I'm mummy, I'm this.
But it's not just about the visuals. The content of what she shared also set off major alarm bells for critics, particularly regarding her struggles. This is where the podcast really began to rub people the wrong way. When Meghan started detailing her supposedly stressful and overwhelming life, many ordinary listeners couldn't help but feel that her complaints sounded utterly disconnected from the realities faced by everyday folks. It was as if her version of hardship was a world away from the challenges most people encounter.
I really think when she says she's overwhelmed, it just makes any other mother think, I'm sorry, you haven't lived a day in my life, huh?
The situation she labeled as intense pressure, like early morning school runs, are just part of the daily grind for countless parents out there. This disconnect is exactly what critics seized upon, pointing out how her perception of hardship doesn't resonate with the realities that most people navigate. Many tackle their daily challenges without the vast resources and privileges she enjoys, making her complaints feel even more out of touch. It's a stark reminder that what seems overwhelming to one person can be just another day in the life for others.
From 6:30 in the morning on drop-off mornings for me, I'm not home till 9.
Sounds like a normal day to me, Meghan. Waking up at 6:30 is not that intense. The rest of the world is waking up at that time.
She went into detail about her routine, discussing packing lunches and juggling meetings, framing it as an immense burden. Yet for countless people, this is simply the everyday juggling act of modern life, not some extraordinary soul-crushing pressure. This makes her attempts to portray herself as struggling feel more like a performance than a genuine expression of hardship. It's hard not to see it as an act when so many are navigating similar challenges without the fanfare.
I'm gonna pack school lunches, then I might drive them to school, then I might manage my meetings after that.
Brush my teeth, get both of them up, I get them dressed, get them downstairs, make breakfast.
Talking about it as if she was about to sink underwater from the pressure, I just don't believe it. It's a normal daily routine.
This relentless chatter about feeling overwhelmed feeds right into what many perceive as her go-to narrative, playing the victim.
I just think she's crying for sympathy, playing the victim.
Critics contend that she appears to be constantly seeking sympathy, even when there seems to be little justification for it, especially considering her privileged lifestyle. This pattern has become increasingly grating for many, as it feels like a never-ending plea for understanding that doesn't quite align with the reality of her circumstances.
There's nothing to be a victim about here, and there's also no sympathy to be granted for this lifestyle.
This victim complex has become a recurring theme in the criticism directed at her, with some commentators employing remarkably strong language to describe it. They view it as a calculated tactic rather than a sincere expression of hardship.
She is a malignant narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while she simultaneously plays the victim.
The examples of this alleged victimhood often strike critics as complaints about incredibly privileged problems. There's a growing perception that she's perpetually lamenting situations that most people would consider fortunate, which only serves to further alienate those who view her life as anything but difficult. It's a disconnect that leaves many shaking their heads, feeling that her narrative doesn't resonate with the realities faced by the average person.
Castle's too small. The queen is mean to me. They won't let me call myself Her Royal Highness anymore.
Alongside this, the wholesome, down-to-earth mother image she attempts to project is also facing intense scrutiny. Many believe this persona is yet another carefully crafted facade that doesn't quite align with the reality of who she is or how she operates.
Trying to sell herself as this wholesome mother who's baking cookies and making tea, but we all know that that's not the truth.
This relentless portrayal of hardship, paired with an often unconvincing image, has led many to question her true motivations. If the narrative of struggle isn't resonating, what about Meghan's other major push, the effort to be relatable? Critics argue that she seems almost desperate to sell the idea that she's just like us. approachable, and down to earth. Yet for many, this attempt falls flat and simply doesn't ring true.
The one thing she is dying to sell to us is relatability. The one thing she is dying for more than anything is for us to love her.
This intense yearning for relatability often feels incredibly forced, as if she's donning a costume that just doesn't fit. Those carefully staged moments intended to portray her as ordinary frequently have the opposite effect, drawing attention to the perceived calculation behind them. It's that trying too hard vibe that leaves people feeling skeptical, making them question whether the authenticity she seeks to convey is genuinely there or simply a well-rehearsed act.
When you were saying, like, do you want to just do like cozies and no makeup? I like the idea of like, okay, great, let's let them see us.
Stop it with this. We're just sitting in our living room, in our cozies, barefoot, spilling our secrets.
What drives this relentless pursuit of a particular image? Many analysts argue that it ultimately comes down to calculated decisions, public relations strategies, manipulation, and of course, financial interests. They propose that each action taken is more about strategic brand development than about forming genuine connections.
Everything they do seems so manipulative, calculated, PR motivated, money motivated.
The suggestion that financial motives played a significant role, particularly in her marriage to a royal, is a recurring theme. Some critics are quite direct, implying that she was fully aware of her actions when she secured such a high-profile relationship.
She's not important. She married for money. It's very clear she bagged the elephant. She was thrilled she became a, quote, princess.
This notion aligns with the belief that she intentionally sought a prince to access a level of influence and lifestyle that her own career had failed to provide. Detractors argue that this ambition undermines any claims she may have of simply desiring a normal, happy life.
Clearly went over to get herself a prince to give her access to this lifestyle that she would have never had access to.
Then there's the glaring inconsistency highlighted by Bill Maher and others. They express a strong desire for privacy and voice complaints about media intrusion, yet they consistently place themselves in the public eye through books, podcasts, and interviews. This duality of wanting both privacy and attention fuels much of the public's frustration.
These people were so mean to us. We don't want all this attention. And then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
This relentless branding and the perceived lack of sincerity have not gone unnoticed, not only by commentators, but also by the general public, particularly regarding her royal ties. Additionally, the issue of royal titles has become contentious, as Meghan appears to cling to them despite stepping back from her official duties. The use of Her Royal Highness, or HRH, especially in private or on promotional materials after she was reportedly advised against it, has left many feeling uneasy. It simply seems off.
She doesn't use it for public gain or commercial gain, but in private, she uses it. How cringe and tacky is that?
In fact, there was a reported incident where she was caught using her full title on a gift.
Zoom in here and it says, with the compliments of Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex.
This behavior contributes to the perception that she desires all the advantages of royalty without accepting the accompanying responsibilities or scrutiny.
Title that was stripped from her when she and Harry made their whole racism debacle and left the UK, left their royal duties, and moved to the US.
For many, the use of such a formal title in private contexts is even more peculiar and revealing than its public usage. It indicates a deep-seated need to associate with that status, almost as if she cannot relinquish the label. This kind of conduct prompts critics to further question her intentions.
Now, to top it all off, she's literally using HRH in private, which is just even weirder.
It leads some to the unavoidable conclusion that her attachment to royal status is not merely casual. They believe it reflects a core aspect of her ambition, suggesting that securing and maintaining a royal connection was always her ultimate objective.
That is just like all the confirmation that I need that this woman is just obsessed with being a royal, that is all this was all about.
The notion of a long-term strategy isn't just a baseless assumption. There have been whispers and claims from individuals reportedly close to her past, indicating that her aspirations for royalty were in place long before she ever met Harry.
Denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it.
All these perceived pretensions, the controversies surrounding her title, and the narratives of calculated actions have undoubtedly impacted how the public, particularly in America, views them. The sentiment is far from warm and fuzzy for many. What do Americans truly think of Harry and Meghan? The response is often one of disdain.
What do Americans really think of Harry and Meghan? We despise them.
Beyond these issues, there are even darker and more scandalous rumors that have emerged over time, frequently discussed in hushed tones or on certain corners of the internet. For instance, unverified speculation, as noted by figures like Joe Rogan, has linked her to some rather unsavory circles from her past.
Wasn't there some speculation that she was on Epstein's yacht at one point in time? There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was like in her early 20s. Wow.
but Meghan Markle has been accused of being a former yacht girl. They're also claiming that she could have spent time with Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein before meeting Prince Harry. Meghan was invited to join a yacht week in Croatia in 2016. There's evidence that suggests that she went on Epstein's yacht at the same time as Prince Andrew.
This fixation on status and the disconnect from public sentiment creates a portrayal that many find deeply unflattering, leading to harsh personal critiques. The criticism extends beyond her public actions. Some commentators have made severe allegations about her character, using terms like malignant narcissist. These serious labels imply a troubling pattern of behavior.
Here is what I think about Meghan, because I think she's a malignant narcissist who is a truly terrible person.
Such strong accusations often relate to the ongoing rumors and reports about her conduct behind the scenes, particularly regarding her treatment of staff. There is a long history of stories claiming she is exceedingly difficult to work with, even described as a bully, leaving a trail of dissatisfied former employees.
All the young women in particular who worked for her quit in tears. She so wore them down and was so nasty.
This reported behavior raises questions about a potential lack of self-awareness. Critics argue that she appears completely unaware of how her actions are perceived or the negative effects they have on those around her.
This woman has zero self-awareness, and she is never going to go away.
Some go even further, suggesting that her fundamental issue lies in an inability to be genuine or relatable on a basic human level. This perceived absence of authentic connection makes it challenging for people to feel warmth towards her.
Searching for something to like about her. She suffers from such a rare disorder of being unable to just be a human.
This perspective implies that if people find her unlikable, it may not stem from their biases or faults. Instead, it could be attributed to an inherent quality, or lack thereof, that makes it difficult for many to connect with or trust her. It's as if she is missing that essential it factor that draws people in.
You don't like her, it's not your fault. It's because she's extremely unlikable. She has the non-it factor.
Even the podcast host, who was ostensibly there to support Meghan, faced criticism for seemingly enabling the narrative. Observers felt that the host's interactions were excessively flattering and failed to challenge Meghan in any meaningful way, making the entire exchange feel contrived.
Very private letter that Harry wrote about Meghan that they're going to share on this podcast.
So happy for my wife, fully support absolutely everything she's done and continues to do.
That's sweet.
That's sweet.
This sycophantic behavior from the host only heightened the cringe factor for many listeners. Rather than engaging in a genuine conversation, it felt like a meticulously orchestrated public relations exercise, with the host acting as an uncritical cheerleader, which some found intolerable.
How are you, Meghan? How are you? You know, Meghan, how are you?
If I'm Meghan, I'm like, your voice is driving me crazy and I'm about to jump over there and put my fists down your throat.
It's not just her own statements that raise eyebrows. Even when she attempts to express admiration for her husband, Harry, it often comes across as forced or performative to discerning ears. The way she discusses him sometimes seems like an effort to sell an idealized love story.
Also a fox. If you haven't noticed, my husband's very, very handsome.
These public displays of affection, including her choice of pet names for Harry, can sound awkward and insincere to skeptics.
H. Why do you call him H? That's so dumb sounding.
This all contributes to the impression that every facet of her public persona is meticulously curated and, for many, not entirely believable.
Heart is even more beautiful.
Oh, but his heart is even more beautiful. This is so forced.
After considering all of this, what is the broader implication? What does this reveal about celebrity authenticity and the narratives we are presented with? To summarize, we have observed a consistent pattern of criticism directed at Meghan Markle, particularly highlighted by that now infamous podcast appearance where figures like Bill Maher openly criticized her. The central complaints revolve around a perceived, deep-seated inauthenticity, a relentless victim narrative that seems at odds with her privileged reality, and questionable branding efforts that often appear desperate and out of touch.
Take a hint from the Queen, the recently departed.
Never complain, never explain, and rarely be heard speaking in public.
Maher's observation about taking cues from the late Queen underscores the disconnect many perceive. It appears that the act, the carefully crafted image, and the constant justifications are no longer convincing to the audience. As some commentators have noted, the world seems to have caught on to her tactics.
The Brits are onto you, America's onto you, the world at large is onto you. You're never going to convince anyone that you're authentic.
If anything, Meghan's situation serves as a stark warning for modern celebrities. It illustrates the significant pitfalls of attempting to meticulously curate an image in an era of instant information, and highlights the dangers of overplaying the victim narrative until it loses its impact. The more she tries to control the narrative, the more it seems to slip from her grasp, often resulting in spectacular backfires. It's a challenging game when the audience feels they are being manipulated by the star-making machinery rather than genuinely connected with. The consequences are evident: a severely damaged reputation and a growing wall of public cynicism that seems to expand with each new endeavor. The ongoing discussions about her hard work often fall flat, especially when juxtaposed with the everyday struggles of ordinary people.
It's too much for me. There's only small doses of that podcast I can consume.
Writing the newsletters and writing the social media captions and making sure that all that feels in line. The photography that we want to do, and what do I want to wear for those shoots?
The work ethic must just be grueling. Writing social media captions, deciding what she's going to wear.
Ultimately, this entire saga raises broader questions about celebrity authenticity in the age of social media. How much of what we observe is genuine? And how easily can a carefully constructed narrative be dismantled by public perception and relentless online scrutiny? It demonstrates that authenticity, or at least a credible version of it, is crucial, and once it is lost, regaining it is incredibly challenging. In the high-stakes arena of public opinion, it appears that Meghan's performance has left many critics and a significant portion of the audience unimpressed and unconvinced. The applause, it seems, has largely faded. After all this, can Meghan Markle ever truly restore her image? Or is the damage irreversible? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe while you're there.